In just 24 hours, Trump targets immigration as well, declaring a national emergency at the southern border, reinstating his controversial Remain in Mexico policy, and beginning the process of ending birthright citizenship. Republican Congressman Pete Sessions of Texas, who serves on the subcommittee of national security and the border, has been a close ally of the president on this issue. He joins me now. Congressman, great to see you. The president signed this executive order aimed at ending birthright citizenship. But, you know, this is a constitutional right protected by the 14th Amendment. Does he really think this goes through, or is this about messaging?
You know, thank you very much. I believe that what this is about, Kyra, is that the millions of people who over the last few years have taken advantage of birthright citizenship. As you know, we have people who use our territories. We have people who walk across the border and who I believe fraudulently take advantage of this, quote, birthright citizenship. So what the president has done, as I understand it, is to challenge government and certainly Congress to look at perhaps a better way that the 14th Amendment, that is not necessarily something that became an issue until the Civil War. And the Civil War, people wanted to make sure, and we needed to as a country, to make sure that people who had been born, slaves or not, in the United States would be considered citizens of this country. Since that period of time, Kyra, it has been misaligned and taken advantage of. So other countries around the world have learned that people take advantage of their laws, and that's where we think this is. I welcome the discussion, and I do know the president did this, and it's a discussion that needs to be alive and well, and Congress is the part that needs to handle this, as well as the courts and the American people.
But the order does include children of those with temporary legal status, and the 14th Amendment is clear.
You know, Carol, I would simply say to you, any law is clear absent fraud. And where fraud is involved, where people intentionally deceive or take advantage of that, that's a problem. And I think that is what the president would like to have the debate about. Is this in America's best interest to allow people to fly from wherever they might be, perhaps to a territory, perhaps it's Puerto Rico, perhaps it's another territory that we have, simply for the purpose of having a baby to become an American citizen? And I think that that's a valid question the president asks.
But we're talking about the Constitution. That's not a law. So the president can't undo the Constitution by executive order.
Well, what he can do is say that he'd like for Congress to look at that and determine the feasibility. It also, term limits do not exist, but the way to fix that is in the Constitution. So if someone would choose to utilize those methodologies or processes, good for them.
All right, so I've got to ask you, President Trump also declared a national emergency at the border, as you know. Put this into practical terms for us, Congressman. What does that actually look like at the border?
Thank you very much. The border, and Kyra, as you know, I lived in El Paso, Texas for a number of years, have been on every single mile of the border, generally speaking on a helicopter or a plane, but we have seen where the border has become a porous and open political nightmare for us. The Trump administration attempted but did not finish putting fencing along there that would support our federal law enforcement, but oh, so much more, because where there are gaping holes, sometimes of just 100 yards, millions of people have come through there. So what the border looks like is 100,000 deaths by fentanyl or overdoses of drugs, not manufactured here in the United States, but who came in illegally to this country. It is a problem for families, communities, and the biggest one for schools and police officers. So it's an attempt to plug what is today not a loophole. It is an open seen embarrassment of this country. Drug cartels, the Chinese people who want to make money are taking advantage of the benevolence of this country, and we're going to do something about it. I am a strong supporter of us closing the border to drug cartels.
One more question. January 6 rioters and the sweeping pardons the president has issued. Every single day, the Capitol Police protect you at work. What do you say to them now?
You know, these are important questions to ask because the police know that we need to have their back. They have their back and their hard work for us. However, they also saw the January 6th committee that was made up entirely of people appointed by Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi did not allow herself to be questioned, nor the head of the committee that would be responsible for the police force, the size in that police force, nor was the person responsible for intelligence ever allowed to give testimony. I believe there's lots of evidence to suggest that the smallest workforce that was available on a big day is inherently something that we, as members of Congress, or at least the speaker, should have taken responsibility for. It was a bad circumstance. I've already stated, I believe criminals were present and did a lot of things. But when you
we saw these rioters assault. You know, we saw it. It was there. It's on video. We saw the assaults firsthand.
I don't doubt that at all. You know, there are things that presidents do, just like President Biden when he pardoned a man who killed 2 FBI agents at Wounded Knee. These are become issues that are hard to justify, Kyra. And I think that this was something that has gone on far too long that the previous administration used on a political basis.
And that was commutations versus pardons. This is clearly going to continue to be very controversial, but I always appreciate you taking the tough questions. Congressman Pete Sessions, I appreciate you and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.